What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I cannot lie, I have been having quite the fabulous week myself. If you did not see, or if anybody is new here because of what I'm about to talk about, we had a little viral Twitter moment last week that was like completely accidental and not expected at all, but it's just like, it goes to show the power of the internet and social media. My friend Gotti, who if you guys remember was on my Cowboy Carter episode with me where we broke down the album track by track, somebody posted that they were listening to a podcast breaking down Cowboy Carter, and everybody in the comments was like, what podcast, what podcast? And my friend Gotti was like, she saw it and she was like, oh, actually, I was on a podcast and we did this back in April if anybody wants to listen. And it just like took off like wildfire. I don't know if the original tweet was referencing our episode or not, but regardless, it is now my most listened to episode of all time, which is crazy because if you were listening to last week's episode, I was saying thank you guys so much because my Wicked review ended up being my most listened to episode by a landslide. And now this one is almost double in listeners from that episode. So it's just really cool. We've had, killer weeks back to back the last 2 weeks. We got a few new followers on the podcast. So welcome to anybody who is new. I'm so happy you were here. Welcome to the Too Pop to Handle family. I am so excited that you are, joining me on this journey, and I hope you stick around for a while. And that being said, I also had some just like Too Pop to Handle event coded moments last week. First up, on Wednesday of last week, I ended up getting some tickets to the 92NY event with Heather Gay. It was her Good Time Girl book event. It was moderated by Bryn Whitfield. It was so cool just to see like Roni interviewing somebody from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and just kind of like that crossover. And when you really boil it down, I feel like Bryn is kind of the good time girl of Salt Lake City. So that was really fun. We got to meet Heather after the event. So just like a fun little Wednesday outing. Thank you to 92NY for the tickets. And then on Thursday night, I knew I was going to this when I recorded last week, but I didn't think it was going to be anything other than a screening. So I didn't think to mention it. I would just talk about it on the episode this week. But if I were to know that Sabrina Carpenter was going to be surprising us at this event, I would have let you guys know. So Thursday night, Netflix was hosting an early screening of A Nonsense Christmas, which is Sabrina Carpenter's new Christmas special, which we'll talk about in just a second. And we got tickets and we went. It was like, I've been to a few events at Paris Theater and they always do really fun little, they do fun goodies for everybody. And they just they think of the little details to just take it up an extra notch. And we just thought it was going to be a screening. Usually when you go to an event like that, they tell you who's going to be there, and there was nobody listed. And the event started, and they had, I think it was the head of the Netflix, actually, I don't even know what department she worked in. I'm not even gonna lie and try to make up a title because I have no idea, but somebody high up at Netflix was giving a speech, and she was like, it was so much fun to bring Sabrina's vision to life. I just wish I could thank Sabrina in person. And out walks Miss Short and Sweet herself, Sabrina Carpenter. So it was such a cool little surprise. We had an inkling that she would be there only because at one point, all of the ushers were just standing in the aisle, and it almost felt like they were security to a sense. So I was like, something's weird, something's happening, but we didn't know exactly what. And obviously you don't want to get your hopes up too high that somebody's gonna make a surprise appearance, because then if they don't, it's well, I got, my hopes high. But we were just excited to be there to see the screening, or the a special a day early. And the special is so good. It is out on Netflix now, so if you haven't watched it yet and you're looking for something to get you in the holiday spirit, definitely recommend. It was so much fun. They had Chappell Roan, Shania Twain, Quinta Brunson, Megan Stalter, just so many great guests. They had Tyla, Kali Uchis, so many good guests and just funny skits. I think it's 45 minutes long, so it's not long. It's the perfect amount of time, get you in the holiday spirit. It's a little cheesy, a little musical, a little funny. I just got the mix of everything you want in a holiday special, and I loved it. And it was so fun to get a little surprise appearance from Miss Sabrina herself. So that was fabulous. And now we are here on the topic of things happening this week. I didn't make it a story because nothing crazy happened, but the Eras Tour did end. And when I say nothing crazy happened, I don't mean that in a bad way. I kind of appreciate the fact that Taylor didn't do anything crazy, so we're not going to go into it too much, but the Eras Tour is officially over, and it's just it's weird because I feel for the last year and a half, we have been every other weekend or every weekend, waiting to see the surprise songs, waiting to see if she wore a new Reputation bodysuit. There were so many, there was such a culture around it, and I mean, I don't need to tell you guys about it. We've been talking about it since I started the podcast, but it's wow, now it's done. now what's next for Taylor? And honestly, I hope she takes a little breather. She's been working nonstop. Knowing her, she won't be. I mean, she released an album literally while she was on this tour and like restructured the entire tour. But definitely, it's like it's like putting the bow on this era, quite literally, of Taylor Swift's life. So definitely just wanted to like note it. I will say the surprise songs were fucking nuts. The fact that she did a 1989 and Speak Now mashup night one, I was like, this bitch is out to get me. Those are my two favorite Taylor albums. What else? She did Never Grow Up in the Best Day, which is like, again, diabolical, fucking insane, and just like plucks on every single heartstring. There were just so many good Long Live. It was like Long Live New Year's Day in the Manuscript, which is just it's gonna be, I am gonna miss the mashups. Like I'm gonna miss thinking about like how she tied these songs together and like the significance behind this song and that song. But you know, it was a good run. She did what she had to do, and it was time, I think, to end it. I think if she dragged this tour into 2025, it would have just been like way, way over saying her welcome in like the touring space. And I mean, you got to give these stadiums some other people to, to play every weekend, But very excited to see like what she does in her downtime. And I'm sure she'll be at a lot of the Chiefs games now, so we'll see that. And we obviously have the Grammys coming up next year, so we definitely will be seeing Taylor, I think. And again, with her and Travis being together and her now being off tour, it's not even like she's on a break, she's just like done, and it's like whatever's next is next. We will see. I'm not gonna get on here and be like Reputation and then debut and then a new album, or a new album and then I don't know. I think we all clowned so much for a year and a half during the Eras tour, and some of it was right, some of it was not. I think our biggest win really being the 1989 announcement in LA closing night. I like that was like the biggest clowning and Swiftie win that everybody had, and everything else was literally just like Ringling Brothers circuits because we all were clowning so hard. So the Eras tour is over. It's very sad, but at the same time, it's like she toured for fucking a year and a half. It was time to wrap it up. So nothing monumental happened. So it's not part of the, the topics or the rapid fire pop culture of the show, but it felt wrong not mentioning it. And that being said, let's get into the show because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to kick things off with our Drew releases, which is my new music releases from last week and anything new coming up this week. And we had a few exciting ones last week, and I'm really into what came out. So first things first, we're going to talk about Rebecca Black. She released the second single from her upcoming album. It's called Sugar Water Cyanide, and I love it. I think it is so much fun. It's got this like hyper pop electronic kind of vibe to it during the chorus, and then the verses are a little bit more not slowed down but toned down. Like it still has like an upbeat vibe to it. It's kind of breathy. It's got some like fun like vocals on it, and then it kicks in with this like hyper pop, like it plays with the pitch. It's just fun, and I think that's really what Rebecca Black's like main goal is in her music, is to just like make it fun. And I love this lead single, Trust. I talked about that so many times. It's so good. It's been on repeat for weeks. It's been like one of my like main songs in my rotation, and I'm so excited to add this one to it. So very excited for Rebecca Black's album. I actually think it might be the first album on my 2025 calendar that we get. It comes out the second week of January, I want to say. It's early January, so we're going to get it pretty quick. It's only a few weeks away, so very excited for that, and I'm loving this single. So if you're looking for like a fun, upbeat kind of vibe, cannot recommend both of these Rebecca Black singles, but specifically Sugar Water Cyanide. The second single we're going to chat about was from an artist I was talking about last week, who I found on TikTok, who she's not, she's kind of a smaller artist. She's kind of, getting her feet wet and, like at the start of her career, which I love because it's so fun to watch an artist kind of grow and blossom and see where they go and what creative decisions they make in their career. And that is Sophie Said. She released her single, The World Is on Fire, and I love it. She had released some snippets of it, and that's actually what like turned me on to her. So I knew I was gonna like the song to begin with, but sometimes TikTok does that thing where, an artist releases the chorus of the song and the rest of the song just sucks. This is not the case for this song. It is very, very good. I am loving it. And the whole vibe of it, I'm like, this is such like I think a lot of people could relate to it right now. She's pretty much saying, she's like, the world is on fire. Everything is burning down. If we are going to date and being like a situationship, don't waste my time. Like the world is burning. If you don't want to burn down with me, don't waste my time. And I think, obviously I've been in a relationship for a few years now, so in the current me, I don't relate, but my past self can 100% relate to this message, and any of our single girlies or gays or theys out there, I think you can all relate to it. And also, it just got like a fun little beat to it. So that is Sophie Said, The World is on Fire. Go check it out. And also go check out her EP. I love that EP. It's got 4 tracks on it. Quick little listen. It is fabulous. And then the final release that we're going to talk about from last week is Khalid Sincere. It ended up being a full 16-track album, which last week I was saying how we don't know what we're going to get because he's been teasing all of these collabs. It was with Normani, Chloe, like all these collabs were being teased. And then on Friday morning, he dropped an entire album. And I'm going to be fully transparent. Khalid isn't my go-to artist that I listen to. His vibe is just like not the vibe, which if you can't tell, my vibe is pop girls. Like I don't listen to a lot of male artists. And when I do, it's not in a heavy rotation unless you're like Troye Sivan. But I was very curious to see what he had in store for this album because he did just unfortunately get outed. So I was kind of curious if he was going to, tease into that any bit. And I've listened to a lot of the album, but I haven't finished it yet. But what I've heard, I'm really liking. But I really wanted to talk about 2 songs specifically, and that is Personal featuring Normani and MIA featuring Chloe. I think the 2 of them, Khalid and Normani, just have such like a nice, the way their voices kind of mend together and like they just sound so good on a track together. And this is no exception. I love this. I think it's just so fun when 2 artists can really like match chemistry with each other. It's kind of similar to what I was saying with SZA and Kendrick last week, where like when 2 artists just like understand each other, it's very much like The Weeknd and Ariana Grande. Like their voices sound great together, they understand each other creatively, and they can just like get on a track and they just like it just works. And I think Normani and Khalid is one of those situations. So loved that track. But a track that I loved even more is MIA featuring Chloe Bailey. This track hits. It is so good. I think the beat is so fun. I think their verses are great. It is just so good. And like I said, I did listen to the majority of the album. I actually might have listened to it fully through, but I was busy this weekend, so I didn't like get to revisit the entire album as much as I did. But these 2 songs stuck out to me the most. And I do want to go back and digest the album more because like I said, this is a very interesting time for him. There's a lot going on in his personal life that like I'm curious if like the album, it had to have been planned before that all happened, but I'm like, is anything on that album? Did it pivot to, tell the narrative that because of it was like an ex or like a hookup who just outed him on Twitter, which is just such a fucked up situation to begin with. But this album coming out so quick after that, I'm like, did he do any adjustments or is there anything on there that we can like allude to like how he's feeling there? He seems to be doing fine with the situation. Clearly, he's like releasing an album and like didn't really give 2 shits when it happened on Twitter. He kind of just like addressed it and moved on with it, which is how it should be. But I definitely do want to dive back into this album, but I'll get to it. It's the end of the year. We're wrapping things up. I got a lot going on. So, but those 2 tracks, they stuck out to me, and probably because there's 2 female artists featured on it. And so I just vibe with a female's voice more than I do with men's voices. So that is a personal thing. I do think he is such a creative, and he does such fun things with his music, and he's very good with his storytelling through his lyrics and his vocal like choices and things like that. So I will end up revisiting this, but I'll save that for a rainy day. And then next week, so those are our releases from last week, and then next week, or this week rather, I'm like already getting flustered talking about it. It can be assumed that we are finally getting Lana, the SZA SOS Deluxe album, but I'm not going to, put any money on it because who knows what she's going to do. But she did tease it yesterday that Lana is finally coming. She posted this teaser that was a little questionable. She was like taking a shit in the woods, or she was like pissing in the woods or something. I didn't really know. I didn't really question what act she was doing in the woods because I didn't really care about that, but it was kind of like the eyesore in the video. But it is finally coming. She's been teasing this for literally over a year now, and it is time. I am so excited. It also is like the 1-year anniversary of SOS the other day, so it makes sense to now release the deluxe, and I'm just very excited. So assuming we get this album on Friday, we will chat about it next week. And yeah, those are our releases for next week. We're wrapping up 2024 so fast. And like I've been saying it nonstop, but it's been such a crazy year for music, and to like be coming to the end of it, and like, not that albums go away after the year, but like once the new year starts, there's like a new cycle for things, and you just kind of like start to, you start to clear your slate, and you weed out some things that maybe you were listening to, you add some new things to your rotation. And it's just crazy to think that like there's still so much music that came out, and with SZA releasing before the end of the year, it's still going to come out. And I'm like, we still have 2025 releases to like get on board with. And so, it's a good time to be a pop music girl like myself, but it's also like, it's a busy time. But that being said, those are our releases from last week and what's coming up this week. Like I said, if and when SZA releases Lana this Friday, we will chat about it on next week's episode. But that being said, let's move on into some pop culture rapid fire moments, some moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. And I'm going to come out and just say this flat out. These stories are a little up and down. Some of them are a little serious. You probably might know what I'm alluding to. Some of them are a little more like, what the fuck? It's apparently the season of the statements. There are so many statements that I have in my notes this week. And as I was like skimming through them before I started recording, just to like, make sure everything was good, cross my T's, dot my I's, I was like, why is there so much text in that? And I was like, oh, it's literally Barry Keoghan's 19 sentence statement. Like, there's a lot to read in here. So let's kick things off with the man of the moment, Barry Keoghan. So if you know me, you know that Sabrina Carpenter and Barry Keoghan were my favorite couple of 2024. And when I saw the news break last week that it was rumored that he had cheated on her and all this stuff was going on, it broke, I want to say it was on Tuesday, so the day that I do record the podcast, but I was so excited for last week's episode to finally talk about my 2024 albums that I didn't want to damper the mood and like, throw that in there and like really just throw things off. And I'm kind of glad that I waited, because now that we've gotten some more light on the situation, I'm not really sure where things stand with the two of them and like what's going on. But that being said, if you did not see, last week people reported that sources close to Sabrina and Barry were reporting that he did cheat on her, which is just like, you give the one guy a chance and it backfires. But then reports were coming out saying that it wasn't true and like they were just taking a break. So I don't know where they stand in that sense. Obviously, if he did cheat, like, get the pitchforks, we right at dawn. Everyone, it rightfully deserved. But it's just like, it's very strange what has been kind of coming out over the last few weeks. So first, the People story broke that he cheated. Then this influencer, Brecky Hill, who I'm not sure if she's like a TikToker, I think she's a streamer as well. She was like reposting videos saying that that Barry rather cheated on Sabrina with a blonde TikToker, and she is a blonde TikToker. So everybody was like, is it you? And she was kind of like buying into the narrative and just like fueling the fire, which, as a TikToker, like, I guess if you want your engagement to go up, just like feed into whatever's happening and then like, put a pin in it whenever. And then she came out with a video and she said that I recently just got out of the hospital. I was in a skiing accident and I broke my spine. Now that I'm out of the hospital, I just want to make this video to address the rumors that have been circulating all throughout the internet. To put it simply for you all, no, I did not get with Barry. I have never encountered this man in my life. The only time I've seen him was on my TV while watching Saltburn. I reposted that video that shut off my For You page, claiming that I was home wrecking Sabrina Carpenter's relationship just because simply I thought it was so ridiculous. I'm sorry, but if I really was the one getting with Barry, why in the world would I be reposting it? Which is very valid. Like, if she was the one behind the scenes who is cheating on, like, Barry was cheating on Sabrina with, like, it would be bold of her to like repost something silly on TikTok about it. But it's just like, for you to be like, oh, I reposted that video and then I got spine surgery and now here's my like, it was just very strange, like very, very weird. And obviously it's not her to blame, like she didn't do anything wrong, but it was just weird for that to happen. And now the reports of him not cheating coming out, and it was just like a lot on the internet last week in that realm. And then over the weekend, Barry decided to take a stand and make a statement. First, he deleted his Instagram, and then he posted on Twitter this like notes app statement, and it was a lot. There was a lot in there. Didn't really give us an explanation of what is going on or like what has happened, but I'm going to read it so we can all just, digest it and then like put the bow on it and kind of move on from there. So he said, I can only sit and take so much. My name has been dragged across the internet in ways I don't usually respond to. I have to respond now because it's gotten to a point where I'd gotten to a place, excuse me, where there are too many lines being crossed. I deactivated my account because I no longer let this stuff distract from my family and my work. The messages I have received, no person should ever have to read them. Absolute lies, hatred, disgusting commentary about my appearance, character, how I am as a parent, and every other inhumane thing you can imagine. Dragging my character and everything I worked extremely hard for and stand for. Talking about how I was a heroin baby and how I grew up and dragging my dear mother into it. Knocking on my granny's door, sitting outside my baby boy's house, intimidating them. That's crossing a line. Each and every day, I work harder to push myself on every level to be the healthiest and strongest person I am for that boy. I want to provide opportunities for him to learn, fail, and grow. I want him to be able to look up to his daddy, to have a full trust in me, and know that I will have his back no matter what. I need you to remember that he has to read all of this about his father when he is older. Please be respectful to all. Thank you. So clearly, like, there's definitely a line that's being crossed, and I do think like the way people are instantly attacking him as a parent, attacking his appearance, like just because of a potential rumor, attack his character and like his judgment, sure, but I do think people have gotten to a point where it's a little too far attacking his appearance and attacking him as a parent. I think it's very intentional, the fact that he doesn't post with his child as much as one might expect, and maybe he isn't seeing his baby as much as somebody should when they are a parent, but like we have to remember that these are people that we don't know. We don't know how often he sees his son. We don't know how he provides for him. Like, we don't know any of that. And it's just like, how far are people going to push this narrative and like poke the bear until we get a statement like this? I think it was due time for this to happen. And it just kind of like, again, if he did cheat on Sabrina, like, I'm not saying to like attack him in that sense, but like, obviously, yeah, you're a shitty person. And I don't know if he did or if he didn't. And if there has been any, like, resolution to whether he did or did not, let me know because I haven't seen anything, but I might have missed it. But everybody preaches mental health and everybody preaches like, you never know what somebody's going through and you never know, people, God forbid, somebody kills himself or somebody does something drastic and then they're like, oh my God, like, mental health and everyone's a mental health warrior. And I just feel like people are still ragging on this man and like pushing him to these limits. And obviously, like, I don't know Barry Keoghan. I don't know his mental health. I don't, not that I don't care, but like, he's not someone in my day-to-day life, but like everybody, Liam Payne a few weeks ago, he was like, all these comments came out that were obviously exposing him as like a horrible person. All the comments were crazy. People were going nuts and like they were warranted. They were 100% warranted. And I get why we were having those discussions because I was even doing it. Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? He's so obnoxious. And then 2 weeks later, or not even 2 weeks later, he dies. Like, and then everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so sad, and da da da, like, careful what you say, da da da. And I'm like, we need to remember the consequences of our words and our actions before the extreme happened. You know what I mean? And like, I think Barry has really been taking this, like, the rodent boyfriend and the ugly boyfriend and whatever, and like the bad dad name and all these things for so long that like all of this just, and especially if people are going to his mom's house or his grandma's house or waiting outside of his son's house and like whatever it may be, like there's just a line that people tend to cross. And I think people get a little too wrapped up in like the stand-up of it all. And I was surprised to see a statement from him, honestly, because I feel like he doesn't usually comment back on things, but things have been getting very out of hand. And again, if he did cheat or whatever, understandably, people, up in arms being mad, but I do want everybody to just remember that, like, this is a human being on the other side of the receiving end. And I do think, like, all the comments about his appearance, about him being a dad, like, there are certain things that, like, you don't know, and you don't know if it's true. You don't know their character. You don't even know the half of a story. So I just think everybody needs to like relax and chill out. I saw Sabrina Thursday night. She looked in good spirits. Like, I think she's okay, even if this is going on. Like, she's a big girl. It doesn't make what might have happened or didn't happen. Like, we don't even know what happened. People just jump down his throat. It's insane. I get it. Maybe you don't love this person. Just be quiet. Like, it just like blows my mind the way people just like wake up and just like talk shit on the internet to a point where it's like words do hurt, whether they deserve it or it's just like, I don't know. I'm not here to preach mental health. I'm not here to be a mental health podcast, but I just thought like the fact that Barry had to make this statement and be like, stop going to my child's home, stop knocking on my grandmother's door, and stop calling me a bad dad. Like, I think everyone needs to just like take a chill pill, relax, and like let bygones be bygones. Like, Sabrina will let us know what's going on. I feel like she's good. I feel like she's all right. She has so many other things going on in her life that a man, whether he cheated, whether he didn't, whether they broke up, whether they're on a break, like, she's good. She's Sabrina Carpenter. She will be fine. We will hear about it on the next album. Let's, take our foot off of this man's throat for a little bit, because like I said, everybody wants to be a mental health warrior after something drastic happens, but before that they are just going at these people with like fucking guns a-blazing, and it's just like, let's, rewind and like think about like real life things that are going on in our life, and be like let's go outside for a little bit, because I think everybody could because I think everybody right now could benefit from that. Moving on to our next pop culture moment from the week that was just too pop to handle. Another breakup news, and this one, honestly, I'm just so fucking tired of hearing about. It is Megan Fox and MGK. So a few weeks ago, they announced they were pregnant, and a few weeks later, they are breaking up for like the umpteenth time. I just feel like these two are so toxic, and they are they're love bombing each other. They're getting married. They're doing like blood pacts, and they're doing all this crazy shit, and then it comes out that they're broken up again. So it was reported today that Megan Fox found material on MGK's phone that was upsetting, and it made her want him to leave the trip early. MGK left the trip, and since then the couple hasn't seen each other, and they are not together at this time. And I'm like, why are you going, if you're going through your man's phone, you know there's something in there that you don't want to see, and there's obviously a level of trust that does not exist. So like, why do these two keep going back to each other? And of course they're trying to make it work again after the pregnancy, but the two of them are too hot-headed, a source said, and they fell back into their constant fighting. And I'm just like, this is like the tale as old as time. I feel like time and time again, the two of them, like Megan Fox, remember last year she was burning those letters from him on Instagram, deleted every photo of him from her grid, and then they're back together, and now she's having his baby. Then he performs at the Super Bowl, like the after party for Sports Illustrated, and she like cancels her flight last minute because they get into a fight and she doesn't want to go. It's just like, there's so many times where the two of them just like prove time and time again that like they are not meant to be together. Something is not working. They are like oil and water. And then when they do mesh, it's like great, and they're on top of the world. And then once they have one fight, it is like rock bottom, absolutely not. And I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm so tired of hearing about these two breaking up, getting back together, having a baby. I mean, and I don't say this lightly, but then she had the miscarriage. So you would think getting pregnant this time, they would be a little more, what's the word? A little more like empathetic and sympathetic for each other, and just kind of like, have each other's best interest after that traumatic event that she went through. I believe it was last year. It's just like, people, I don't know. This is the situation where I'm like, let's just like officially put the nail in the coffin, which coffins are like their vibe. They are very much that like spooky, ooky, and kooky shit. Put the nail in the fucking coffin. Call it quits. Megan, have your baby. Do your thing. You guys can parent from afar. I can't with these two. It's just up and down. They're on a break. They're taking it slow. They're back in love. They're love bombing. Then it's just never ending. And I'm just like, can this just be the end of it? Can this please just like be the last time? Because if I see the two of them doing a fucking blood pact or wearing each other's saliva around their neck or whatever the fuck weird shit they were doing, I can't. Moving on to our next topic now. This is one of the topics I was talking about earlier, where I was like, these topics are up and down. Some of them are very serious, and it's a very serious topic. And if you know me at all, I am obviously a huge Beyoncé fan. So of course, when I saw these allegations about Jay-Z, I was like, well, I have to talk about them. So this is just, trigger warning. We're talking about Jay-Z's sexual assault and rape allegations that came out this weekend. So if you were not interested in listening to that, look down below. I'll have my timestamps like I always do. Just click to the next story, because I promise, we have more positive things after this. But I just felt like I couldn't not discuss this and kind of give my 2 cents, because I am constantly on here talking about how I would like take a bullet for Beyonce, and like, this is serious business. So over the weekend on Sunday night, there was a lawsuit that was originally filed in October. It was amended on Sunday to include Jay-Z in the case, and the case was saying that Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z have raped or did rape a teenage girl after an award show more than 2 decades ago. So this was allegedly after the 2000s VMAs. The case is now saying that Jay-Z, Diddy, and a female star were in the room when this happened. They were either watching or doing the act, and this is all now coming out. The plaintiff, who was identified as Jane Doe in the suit, said that she met the men after the MTV Music Awards, like I said, at Radio City Music Hall in Manhattan in the year 2000. She'd been trying to get into the event or go to the after party, but did not have a ticket, so she began approaching limousine drivers outside, according to the suit. And like I said, this was a case that was started in October and is now being reopened to add Jay-Z into it. Whether or not that makes it legitimate or not isn't the case. Obviously, in any situation like this, we're going to believe the victim and we're going to, hear their story and not silence what they're saying. Where things get a little murky is more on the legal side of things with who is handling the case. Tony Busby is the lawyer who is handling this whole case. And just me being in the pop culture space, I know this name just from like previous cases and previous things coming up. And there's just so many on all sides. Obviously, I'm not talking negatively about the victim in this case. I'm not discrediting anything they have, alleged. That is their story. That is what they are coming forward with. That I am not touching. It just with Tony Busby being the lawyer involved in this, there's a lot of things that have happened in his career that have been great, that he's had great successes with. But if you look into him and like if you look into the people, he's a lawyer from Houston, if you look into anyone in like a local level, everybody in Houston pretty much hates this man. I saw one comment from somebody from Houston who called him an attention whore, saying his stance on issues depend on where the money is coming from. He has no principles and he is a gold digger. That's just off the top of their head. I'm sure there is more that isn't coming to mind. And he's just like had a lot of slip ups in his career where things have been a little slimy. He's had DUI charges. He's the man. I don't know if this rings true with anybody, but I'm like a big Andy Warhol person, so I always like to like read up on anything that happens with him, which obviously he's dead, so not much comes up. So when things do come up, it sticks with me. But back in 2017, there was this story that came out that a man brought a woman home and the woman got really drunk in his house and destroyed a bunch of his art, two being original Warhol pieces. It was his art that was destroyed. So like he's just always kind of mixed up in he gets himself into these like murky situations, not to discredit his professional life, but there's been a lot of signs that point to him kind of like going after people for almost defamation of character and for trying to, look where the money is, like this person said. And like, it's not just that one comment. I couldn't pull every single comment. We'd be here for 17 days, but there's like a lot of negative connotation that comes with his name. And even a lot of people, I was listening to a few podcasts this week to kind of like get the general consensus of like where everyone feels on this, because again, like obviously everything related to Diddy and like what's coming out with him, like hell is not hot enough for the things that P. Diddy has done, but it gets messy when other people start to get involved in the cases and things like that. And there's no denying that Jay-Z and Diddy were close for years, and like he was at a lot of the parties and he was around a lot of the nights that all these things happened. But there are now a lot of reporters saying I was at this event and I watched Jay-Z leave. So, people are now dissecting his statement, saying he's victim blaming and he's trying to, spin the truth. People are now coming and saying, this lawyer, Tony Busby, has had plenty of times where he has stretched the truth and tried to fabricate something and go after people for more money. And, there's a lot of chit chat on both sides. I'm not taking either of their sides. I'm clearly standing with the victim, and like, on either way this coin lands, it's not great for either parties. I just felt wrong for me not to address and to say like, obviously I'm not supporting what is happening. And with that, I'm also saying I have never claimed to be a Jay-Z stan. I am a Beyonce stan. I am part of the Beehive, not the J-Hive. So it's a weird situation for them to be in. And it got even weirder last night at the Mufasa premiere, which is the movie that Blue Ivy is making her film debut in. And it sucks that had to happen literally the night after this case happened. And like, this was supposed to be Blue Ivy's big moment, her first voice acting role. And it was, so exciting because it was the movie that was kind of tied into Beyonce's Lion King movie that came out a few years ago. And it was this big moment for the family, and now this comes out, so it was kind of unsure whether or not Jay-Z or Beyonce or who was going to show up at the premiere, and lo and behold, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Blue Ivy, and Miss Tina all showed up at the premiere. And people are obviously taking this and spinning it so many ways. Some people going the route of saying he was doing it to, show that he is a family man and try to like throw us off his trail. Some people saying he's showing up because he wants to show that he's unbothered and he wants to show that like this isn't true and this is not his character. And yeah, the only gripe I have with this is like, I don't think Disney would allow somebody with these allegations to show up to the premiere if he didn't have hard, cold evidence proving that he didn't do these things. Not saying that, again, this isn't true or anything. I just think like Disney as a brand has such a reputation and has such a name to protect that especially at a kids movie, I don't see them allowing him to show up to this event with those allegations coming out so fresh, especially when you think of the magnitude of the P. Diddy case. So I don't know. There's so much going on. I am not a legal consultant. I am just a little gay man with a microphone in Manhattan. Like I'm just reading it, doing my thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, how do you transition out of that? I do want to say it is so exciting to see Blue Ivy kind of coming into her own and becoming, whether it's she wants to be a singer, a dancer, an actress, a voice actress, like to see her coming into this field and like embracing it fully, especially if anyone who is, a Beyonce fan. And if the people who did come from the Cowboy Carter episode are now listening, I'm assuming you guys are all part of the Beehive and have been with Beyonce and seeing, when she announced she was pregnant at the VMA 2011 to Blue Ivy making the premiere in Life is But a Dream in 2013, I think that came out, to Blue being featured on Blue, on the self-titled album, to all these moments that we've seen Blue Ivy and Beyonce really stick together and like kind of Beyonce just like uplifting Blue to like explore her creativity. If you guys saw the Renaissance World Tour movie, like Blue Ivy literally was the reason we got Diva on the set list. Like Blue Ivy clearly is the creative director behind Parkwood. Like that little girl knows what she wants. She knows business and she is not going to let anybody tell her no. So putting all of that aside with Jay-Z, just seeing Blue Ivy at the premiere last night, I mean, she showed up looking gorgeous in a custom Christian Siriano dress. Like she was pulling out the stops last night. Beyonce was wearing a Balmain gown that was from the label's collaboration with The Lion King. So I'm happy to see that they were at least able to show up and like not let this dampen the spirits of Blue's night. What's going on behind the scenes, none of us will know until, a case comes out or whatever, whatever happens. Just so you know, in unfortunate timing of events, if you want to say. But again, obviously, there is no world in which anyone should silence a victim or should assume that just because it's a celebrity or just because somebody has a track record, they have not done it. But I also, there are cases where people do try to fabricate things. And I'm not saying it was the victim, but this lawyer does have a history of doing such. So, it's like a double-edged sword in this sense. And I'm curious to see kind of where this develops and like what comes from it. Obviously, like I said, with the Diddy case, like the magnitude of this case is so astronomical. And like at the end of the day, like it's all just fucked. Like it's all insane. People are gross. And I'm going to leave it at that. If anything comes out, in the few weeks, which I'm sure it will, we'll chat about it and I'll like do my best to keep you guys informed without a bias. I'm really looking at this completely unbiased because again, like I said, I'm not tied to Jay-Z. I'm tied to Beyonce. I don't think Beyonce has any part in this. Honestly, I don't think she has any malintent in that sense. I think she's smarter than that. I don't know. Men are a little stupid. So I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on to the next topic and kind of, shifting gears into the field day that gay Twitter has been having this week, both with the United Healthcare shooter and the phenomenon that is going to be the Golden Globes this year. And we're going to kick things off with I can't say his name without going full, like the 50% Italian in me moves to 100 when I want to say his name, but Luigi Mangione, like I can't say his name without sounding like an old Italian man. You guys know who I'm talking about. This man has taken the internet and specifically gay Twitter by storm. So he is the man who is being charged with killing the CEO of United Healthcare last week here in New York. And I'm shocked that they were able to find him so quick. I thought he clearly was a professional because he really did he was going unscathed for a while. They had pretty much no leads on this man. But the fact that he even got as far as he did, shooting this man man in broad daylight at 6:45 in the morning in Midtown Manhattan, escaping into Central Park, running away, having pretty much like no cement trail on him. He had like different names being used. He was staying at a hostel. He showed up on a bus. Like there were so many different things going on that like could not lead to one person. To get caught in a McDonald's is fucking insane. Like for you to only make it to Pennsylvania from New York, you hopped 2 states over and then get caught in a McDonald's. Come on. Even like the backpack in Central Park being full of Monopoly money, like this was shaping up to be such. And let me preface, I'm not applauding anybody murdering anybody. Like, I'm not here being like, oh my God, he's a genius. He's blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But like, just looking at the facts, like, this man shot this high up CEO, ran into Central Park, changed his clothes, dropped his backpack. Days later, the NYPD finds his backpack and it's full of nothing but Monopoly money. Like, that is crazy work to be done. And one of my coworkers was saying, they were like, I can't believe NYPD and FBI are like so bad at their job right now. They haven't been able to find him. I'm like, no, 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 no. They are not bad at their jobs. This guy is great at what he does. I fully was not expecting them to find this guy anytime soon, but I never could have predicted what was to come once they did find him. Of course, gay Twitter blew up because this man has abs and he's hot. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, I don't find him attractive. He's hot. Like, point blank period. Come on. You can appreciate when a man is good looking, whether he is, a regular degular Joe Schmo on the street, or maybe he is the killer of United Healthcare CEO. Like, when you boil it down, he's a good looking guy. So let's just go through what we know about this guy. And then we are going to just dive into like the insane internet culture and the way the internet has just exploded in the last 24 hours. So he is 26 years old, which is the funniest age for you to decide to rebel against a health insurance company. Like clearly he was not taking getting kicked off his parents' plan this year very well, because he went to the biggest extreme and killed this man. Like that is insane. And like it just adds to like the what the fuck is this situation. He was the valedictorian of his high school class. He graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a master's degree in computer science and mathematics, and then he got his master's in engineering. He is the cousin of a very wealthy and well-established family in Maryland. He's a member of the family in Maryland, and his cousin is Maryland State Delegate Nino Mangione. Again, Mangione. I feel like I need to do like the Italian hands. If you're watching on visual, you're seeing it, and you know what I mean. If you know, like Mangione. That's like what you order at an Italian restaurant. You know what I mean? It's like that's the main course. It's got such like an oomph to it. But who he is the Maryland State Delegate, and he represents parties in Baltimore County. So it's just like it's when you look at this guy, like, but you think about like any guy, like any murderer, like when you look at them, it's like there was no signs of this happening. And they have now talked to a lot of his friends and family and people that like knew him, and they're like, this is not in his character. This is not who he is. Like, this is not something you would expect from him, which looking at it on paper, like, what the fuck? You were valedictorian of a high school class, and then you went to an Ivy League school, got your master's degree. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. And then it comes out that he had a back surgery in 2023 that quote unquote changed everything. And it appears that he like went off the map for a few months and he had some type of psychotic break. There was like tweets that people found. I'm assuming he was supposed to be like the best man or in somebody's bridal party. And they tweeted him. They're like, hey, I haven't heard from you in months. You made promises and were going to help me with like wedding obligations. And I just like need to know if you're going to help me or not. And that was from April, I believe. So like clearly this guy has been off the map, and like people have not been able to get in contact with him. He's kind of been like missing, which is like a bigger question of like, if he was missing, why weren't they putting out like a missing person? I'm like, it's just, there's so many things in this story that I'm just waiting for it to fully develop to like finally understand. Even his sister, she shared a post of the two of them to her story and said, praying for you. And it's like, what? Like, your brother just was, now he's been charged, but he was literally like, they had him in custody for potentially murdering a CEO of an health insurance company in broad daylight. And you share a picture of you and him to your story saying, praying for you. Like, what? Is that not insane? Does that not feel crazy to anybody else? His family ended up coming out with this statement and they said, "We only know what we have heard in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We only know what we have read in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson. We ask for people to pray for all involved," which is like, clearly they weren't in contact with him and clearly he must have just like completely, maybe not gone off the rails to say, but like clearly he was just like going through something that led him to this moment. There was also some things coming up about like things he wrote about the healthcare system, saying how it's like failed Americans and his grandparents both passed a few years ago. So I'm just thinking like all of these things led up and like, he clearly was smart, and I hate to say like he was good at what he did because what he did wasn't necessarily like ethically correct, but like this was very well thought out and he had a lot of brain power behind this operation to get to where he fell, for lack of a better word. I mean, a 3D printed silencer for your gun, having all these fake IDs. Again, I just can't get over the backpack full of Monopoly money in Central Park. Like, that's like shit you read about in a murder mystery book. And like, it's happening in real life. It's just crazy. And what else is crazy is I have never in my life seen so many photos of one man after being detained in my life. Clearly the police who arrested him and who were, wherever he's being held, they are clearly on with like the thirst train that everybody else is on because they cannot get enough photos of this man. It is fucking crazy. I feel like there's been like 4 mugshots of this guy and every single time he steps outside of the holding cell or whatever it is, there's like new photos of him looking over his shoulder, like these like glamour shots. Like, I'm like, why? There are so many, I've never seen so many photos of somebody who's being arrested. This is fucking crazy. And like I said, gay Twitter had a field day with this man, which is to be expected. Gay people can never take anything seriously. Like everything has to be a joke and like completely just like horny, which, I'm also a gay man. I liked a few tweets, I definitely made some comments. I'm also, waiting for the lookalike contest, like may or may not have to pull up. But that being said, we also learned some very interesting things about him through his social media. He allegedly prefers the Glee version of songs, which, I mean, taste. He also thinks Ariana Grande is hot, so he clearly has taste in that sense as well. There's some history of him streaming Charlie XCX documentaries. Apparently he was listening to B2B earlier this year. Like, clearly he is with the times. I mean, any man who is listening to Charlie XCX, Ariana Grande, and the Glee cast version of any song is clearly a man of the people. So he clearly at one point had everything, straight in his mind, but, some shit must have went down in the last year or so that led him awry. Also on his Goodreads, it's very interesting to see that The Lorax is one of his most highly rated books on the app, and his last liked quote on Goodreads is from The Lorax. So he's environmentally forward. He's with the people, he's reading his Dr. Seuss, he's up on his literature. Like this man, like, it just goes to show it just takes like one snap of the brain cells to really make somebody go from streaming Charlie XCX and reading The Lorax to killing the CEO of a health insurance company. And it's just, it's crazy. It is crazy. We are witnessing something so insane. And with that being said, I'm very curious to see who was going to play him in the Ryan Murphy true crime documentary about him that comes out in the next year or so. Like everyone's throwing out names, everyone's saying Adam DeMarco, Dave Franco. I saw a few Darren Chris's, which Darren has been in the Ryan Murphy, stratosphere before, so it's not too far off. So we will see. This definitely is going to be developed into something. The way that the internet has just fully taken this story and ran with it, like it's crazy that we are 21 days away from the end of the year and this man has become the biggest meme of the year. Like we were so close. I know Mudang is pissed that this man came in and stole their thunder from the biggest meme of 2024 with only 3 weeks left. It is insane the way that this has just like completely taken the internet by storm. And I'm very curious to see like what's to come from it. Like he's been having court hearings and there's videos of him walking into the court today and he's like screaming at all the paparazzi outside. Like there's a lot to unpack here and I'm seated. I am very curious to see, what is in store and what is next for Luigi Mangione. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's just like It's crazy. It is. We are living through wild times. And while we're on the topic of gay Twitter having a field day, mark my words that the Golden Globes this year are going to be like a 7-course meal, a all-you-can-eat buffet for the gays this year, because the amount of just like queer icon, not even queer, just like women that gay men love that will be in attendance of this event, it is going to be insane. I mean, Ariana Grande, Nicole Kidman, Cynthia Erivo, Pamela Anderson, Angelina Jolie, Zendaya, Demi Moore, Kate Winslet, Quinta Brunson, Jean Smart, Hannah Einbinder. Like, this is going to be a feast for the gays, and I cannot wait. That being said, let's get into these nominations, because there is a lot of Too Pop to Handle favorites that are nominated, and we're going to kick it off. We're going to go through all of the categories that I want to chat about, but first things first, obviously we have to shout out Wicked, because they received 4 nominations for this year's Golden Globes, which is so exciting. So they got nominated for Best Musical or Comedy Motion Picture, Best Cinematic Box Office Achievement, and then Ariana Grande got nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture, with Cynthia Erivo receiving the Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy Motion Picture nomination. So happy to see that award season is kicking off, with this pink and green moment that the whole world is experiencing. And I'm very, I hope that this is, painting the picture of the rest of 2025 award season for these ladies. And I'm curious to see what they win, where they don't win, where they sweep, how it's going to be. So that's Wicked. I just wanted to get that out of the way now. And now we're just going to go through all the categories that had like, a Too Pop to Handle essence of them. So we're going to, repeat some Wicked ones, but hear me out, stick with me. First up, Best Motion Picture for a Musical or Comedy, we have Anora, which I have not seen yet, but I have heard such incredible things, and it is on my list. I need to see it before it's out of theaters. I've heard incredible things about this movie, so I definitely need to go see that. But Anora, Challengers, which I loved, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Wicked. Another movie that I'm like dying to see, but I'm a little weary because like I'm not too into gore or horror or like any like body things. So The Substance, like I want to see it so bad for the cultural movement and like moment that it's having, but I just know I can't stomach that. That it's just like I can handle horror, I can handle jump scares, I can handle like scary things. Gore and like body things, like, oh, I can't. I'm like getting chills thinking about it. Like I can't do like arm like things get cut off, or like I'm pretty sure in this movie it's like she gets some like abnormal growth on her, like things like that. I don't, gore and I don't mix well in that sense. So I don't know in what other universe I'll be seeing The Substance, but like just know like I want to, and I will eventually stomach it, but it's just not in the card right now. Moving on to Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture. This is going to be a bloodbath for the gays to pick who they want to win. Listen to this list. We have Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, Angelina Jolie in Maria, Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl, which I'm dying to see. That looks so good. Tilda Swinton in The Room Next Door, Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here, and Kate Winslet in Lee. Just like mother after mother after mother after mother, that is going to be a bloodbath in terms of like the gays' favorites winning. Another bloodbath, we have Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Amy Adams in Night Bitch, Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon in Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, and Zendaya in Challengers. Again, mothers on mothers on mothers. Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture, Selena Gomez and Amelia Perez. Oh my God, have you guys seen the drama with Selena and this role this week, where people are like coming out saying like she should not have played the role if she can't speak Spanish properly, and like this whole thing, and now Selena Selenators or whatever Selena Gomez fans are like having to come to her defense again. And it's just, I feel like the thing with Selena Gomez that like I'll never be able to understand is why her fans are constantly having to like defend her as if their life depends on it, because people are just like calling out something she did. They are like, it is their life's mission to make sure that anything Selena Gomez does, whether it's good or bad, and let's be real, there's plenty of good, but there's also plenty of bad projects that she has worked on or is a part of, and that is okay. Not everything is going to be a home run. Things are going to be a swing and a miss. It is fine. But for some reason, when it is Selena Gomez, her fans and the internet just like coddle her to no extent. I don't understand what she did. Like, what is in her music or her movies that like hypnotize them to being like, if you say anything bad about Selena Gomez, you deserve a death penalty. It's fucking insane. So that being said, like a lot of people are coming forward saying they would have rathered a Spanish speaking actress to play this role because Selena's Spanish in this project isn't great. Obviously, Selena is of Latina heritage. Like, she's not appropriating technically because it is her culture, but like, she even said, she's like, I don't speak Spanish. It's not my first language or my second language. And I think the comment someone made is like, it's not Selena's second or fifth language. So why is she speaking Spanish in this movie? And why did she get cast in this? Like, it's kind of giving, they just wanted a name for the project. So I thought that was interesting to then see that she got nominated for this project as much as she did. And spoiler, this is the most nominated project at this year's Golden Globe. So it's just interesting to see like where fans lie and critics lie and everything kind of just like there's never it's so everyone has such polarizing opinions on things and like that's what makes this fun. But like I said, going into best performance by an actress in a supporting role, we have Selena Gomez and Amelia Perez, Ariana Grande in Wicked, Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, Margaret Qualley in The Substance, Isabella Rossellini in Conclave, and Zoe Saldana and Amelia Perez. I mean, again, so many people in this category. It's stacked. This year's Golden Globes is truly stacked. I'm more of like a music focused person, so obviously I watch my TV, I watch my movies, but I'm not like up on every single movie the way that I try to be on like album releases and single releases. Like I kind of pivot more towards the music side of things, but obviously like being such a big pop culture person, like I do love going to the movies or watching the newest movie or seeing what everybody's streaming and hopping on the bandwagon or just like dipping my toes in it. So I didn't realize how stacked 2024 was, not just for music, but also clearly for like movies and TV and all of these like roles that people had. Like people were working in 2024, no matter what their profession was. So it's crazy to see all these names on this list and just see like all of these actresses, all of these projects, everything get nominated. It's like, who's gonna win? And this is only Golden Globe. We have like the Oscars, the Emmys, like there's so many other awards that are going to be coming up soon. It's like, is there going to be one major sweep? I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a little mixed bag. I think like somebody might sweep some categories at the Golden Globes, and then one project might sweep at the Emmys. Like it might, or like the Oscars. Like I do think it's going to be like a mixed bag this year, just because there is such a magnitude and like such a huge amount of projects that happened this year. So we will see. I'm very curious to see like what happens in this retrospect. And like I don't see a sweep happening, but who knows? I'm not the Academy. I'm not the Critics' Choice, so I'm not the one deciding these things. Moving on to Best Television Series, we have Abbott Elementary, which is always going to steal my heart. But in this same category, we also have Hacks, which picking between Abbott Elementary and Hacks is like picking a favorite child. It physically pains me to have to pick between these two shows. Also nominated in this category, it's The Bear, The Gentleman, Nobody Wants This, and Only Murders in the Building. I haven't watched The Bear or The Gentleman, but I loved Nobody Wants This, and I love Only Murders in the Building, so definitely some big hitters in this category, but like I said, picking between Abbott and Hacks is where I land, and making me pick between a favorite child it's just not fair, and I don't think I should have to do it, so we're gonna move on. Next up is Best Performance by an Actress in a Television Series, Musical, or Comedies. We have Kristen Bell in Nobody Wants This. She was so good in that show. I loved it, but somebody who was just like fucking outstanding in everything she does is Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary. One day I'll do a whole episode just like talking about Abbott. Like maybe I'll find somebody who is also into Abbott the way that I am, and like we'll do a whole breakdown of like the importance of it. It's actually gonna be like a really fun little way to like dive into more TV culture. So I'm gonna put a pin in that, but like leave it like a little note for myself. But Quinta Brunson, I just think she deserves every single award for Abbott Elementary because the way that it is just like rebirthed the sitcom, and seeing Quinta Brunson's come up and just like, she is just phenomenal. Somebody else who was phenomenal, Iowa Debris for The Bear, Selena Gomez, Only Murders in the Building, Catherine Hahn, Agatha All Along, Jean Smart for Hacks. And like looking at this list, this is insane to have to pick from Kristen Bell, Quinta Brunson, Iowa Debris, Selena Gomez, Catherine Hahn, and Jean Smart. When I say the gays are going to be feasting this year. I mean, we are going to be feasting. Every single person on this list has some toe dipped in the gay space in some way. The gays love them. They are just like, these are like the mothers that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's just like looking at this list, I'm like, oh my God, gay Twitter that night. Like, you guys are going to want to log on because it is going to be, it's going to be a bookmark night in gay Twitter history. I'm calling it now. And then just kind of wrapping some things up. These are, I'm not going to go through everyone nominated, but just some shout outs there. We have Hannah Einbinder for being nominated for the best performance in an actress television supporting role. Obviously for Hacks, again, Hacks, it's just phenomenal. Hannah is such a talent, and seeing her thrive in this role and like continue to just like develop her character and like, you know, her creative touch on the show, phenomenal. We also have the best original song for a motion picture, Beautiful That Way from The Last Showgirl, which is a Miley Cyrus song nominated, which is so exciting, which means we have 3 X-Acts, Selena, Miley, and Ariana, all being nominated. Again, it is just going to be like, it's such a stacked year for the Golden Globes this year, and I am so excited to see who shows up, see who wins, just to just like see all of these women. The way I didn't mention one actor on this list, clearly what I said earlier about my, you know, my takes on Khalid, like it's not just like a bias, like I just lean more towards women. They are just my cup of tea. I don't know, it's just in my brain chemistry. I didn't pick one actor to talk about on this list. Whatever. It is going to be a field day for Twitter, for Instagram. Like, we are going to eat that night, and I'm so excited. So just to recap, the most nominated projects or movies from the year, we have Amelia Perez with 10 nominations, The Brutalist with 7, Conclave with 6, Honora with 5, The Substance with 5, Challengers, A Real Pain, and Wicked all with 5 as well. Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, and The Last Showgirl all have 2 nominations as well. And just to really put the bow on top of this story, we come to this place for magic, and that is exactly what Nicole Kidman does. She is now a 20-time Golden Globe nominee, making her the second most nominated actress, only behind Meryl Streep. Try not to say mother. Like, that is an incredible accomplishment to have. And just like, again, it's Nicole Kidman. Like, what is not to love? So exciting, so fabulous. I just cannot wait for the Golden Globes this year. They'll be streaming on Paramount Plus on January 5th. So I will be tuned in. I remember last year I was live updating on Instagram, and it was so much fun. So I'll be doing the same thing this year. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. Oh, I can't wait. I'm already excited for it. And moving on into our TV recap of the week. First things first, before we even recap Salt Lake City, I just need to say Drag Race is back Friday, January 3rd, and I am so excited to be recapping Drag Race again on the podcast. I had so much fun doing it last season. I feel like it gave me such a new appreciation for the show, and I just had so much. I always have thoughts while I watch Drag Race, but like being able to communicate them on the podcast, and like I feel like I got a lot of people who watch Drag Race who now listen to the show because I was posting so much about it on TikTok. So I'm excited to just like build that community up because I love Drag Race so much, and I'm so excited to be recapping that season. This is already a long episode, so I'm not going to go through the cast list, but probably on the week, so what is that, like January 8th, that week's episode, I'll do a full rundown of all the queens. I'll talk about their entrance looks. We'll do like the whole 9 for that. So we'll save that for, a rainy day. But I'm just so excited that Drag Race will be back at the beginning of the year. It's like gay Christmas. But that being said, speaking of other gay Christmases, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, this week's episode got fucking crazy. So the whole episode is centered around Meredith and her bat mitzvah, and who's going to show up, is Mary coming, who's there going to be drama, how Mary riding in on a sleigh. Like, it was just all of the things that you would want in a housewife bat mitzvah is exactly what we got at this thing. First and foremost, did we all know that Meredith had an older son, or did we all learn that together on last week's episode? Because I had no idea that there was even another son aside from Brooks. Like, I was like, who is this man? I was so thrown off. I mean, Mazel, like, fabulous, but not a clue. I had no idea. And seeing her being so close with her kids on the show, and like now Brooks going to be on Making It in Manhattan, whatever that new Bravo show is at the top of the year that's coming out. Like, he's so involved in the Bravo universe, and her kids are so involved in her life that the fact that we didn't know about the older son, I was like, huh? I was so thrown off, but maybe that's just me. Mary Cosby, she is the funniest person I have ever seen on TV, I think. Her showing up to this bat mitzvah and like looking through the windows, not realizing she is literally, everybody can see her, and she is literally standing behind Meredith while she is doing her ceremony. I don't know what it's called at a bat mitzvah, but doing her whatever it's called up there. Like, it was so fucking funny. And the fact that she just ended up showing up for Meredith after their fight the week before, like, it just, I'm happy to see that Mary did end up showing up for her, even though Mary is going through so much. So I love to see her showing up for the comedic relief, but also for, their personal ties to one another. And then we have Bronwyn and Angie going at it. Bronwyn expects an apology. Angie expects an apology. Like, the two of them are clearly just like not meshing well. And I did not expect it to get as explosive as it did. Like, the way that they were like going at each other like that, where Todd had to step in and pull Bronwyn away. I know Todd is tired of these women. Like, I know he is at his wits' end with these bitches and being like, can you just like give me a break? Because every event that they go to, he is clearly, he's exhausted. But I did not expect Bronwyn and Angie to go at each other like that. Like, I was shocked by that. But also Brittany calling Angie a slut outside, and then Bronwyn telling Angie, I'm like getting my names mixed up. Bronwyn telling Angie that she said that, and then Angie screaming at her saying she has high body count hair. Like, that was fucking iconic. I'm sorry, Brittany. Like, again, I feel like Brittany gets ragged on a lot, and I do really like Brittany, but like, there is a lot of things that happen on the show that are kind of misfortunate to her that like, it does make good TV. So like, again, I do like Brittany, and I think she's a good character and a good mix in the show, but you can't deny that Angie K saying you have high body count hair wasn't fucking iconic, paired with Lisa Barlow saying you need a Keratis thermique treatment. Like, it was so fucking iconic. It was so funny. These ladies are making A plus quality reality TV, and I cannot get enough of it. I was not expecting Meredith to kick Angie out of her party also. Like, that shook me to the core. Like, to see Meredith get to that level mad, clearly she was just like, absolutely not having it, get the fuck out of my party. And for Angie to get kicked out of all people, like, that's crazy. That is nuts. Angie K is the last one I ever expect to get into drama like this, to get things like, to have drama excel to this level. And the fact that she was the one that got kicked out was nuts. I was truly shocked. But you know what? That's what makes the show good. Like, these ladies are keeping us on our fucking toes. And it appears that they're going to continue to keep us on our toes, because now Lisa is starting to tease this Puerto Vallarta trip that they're taking, which is where I'm assuming we see all of this drama with Lisa and Whitney come up. I'm assuming this is like the lunch for 8 Lisa's party where she tries to rip the wig off of her head. Like, it is about to get even crazier. And like, this season has already been nuts. So I am so excited to just keep watching this season. If you are looking for good reality TV, I cannot tell you fast enough to start watching Salt Lake City Housewives, because it is top tier television. It is unbelievable. I cannot wait to see where the rest of the season takes us. But that being said, we have made it to the end of our show, which means it is time for our yes and our mess of the week. My yes being something I am loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. So let's kick things off with my yes for the week. And the yes has to be no other than Trisha Paytas' cameo on SNL this week. That is literal internet history being made in front of our eyes. It has been a big week for the internet between Luigi Mangione and Trisha Paytas being on SNL. Like, it has been a big week for internet culture, and seeing Trisha have her moment on SNL. Trisha is a creator that I loved years ago, and then I kind of fell out of because, she had these controversies and there was all the drama, and I never disliked her. There's other creators that I have stopped supporting completely and completely write off. But like, Trisha is one that I never fully hated. I just was like, I need a break. I need a breather. It was a lot all at once. She was clearly going through things, but seeing her growth and development in her personal life and her career, and obviously now knowing all this shit that went down with Jason Nash and the Vlog Squad and just all of that drama, which is a whole nother pill to swallow in that sense. But seeing Trisha kind of coming out on top and thriving with her podcast and everything going on. Like, it's just so exciting to see somebody grow like that, because you don't see that with internet people or anyone really. You don't see growth of where people can like fully kind of turn a new leaf. And like, yeah, she's still trolling online, but she's not doing it in a way that like is harmful per se, if that makes sense. Like, she's really just kind of like taken a shift in her career, and to see her on SNL is so, it's just like monumental for any internet kid. And like, if you know me to my core, I am chronically online. I literally think, no, I know in my first episode ever of this podcast, I was like, I was so chronically online in high school and college that like being a online Tumblr kid to podcast host pipeline, it just made sense. And like, this is just something that just like it just rings true in my heart, and just makes sense that Trisha has had her moment on SNL. And then today she actually had Bowen Yang on Just Trish. And I don't usually listen to Just Trish. I watch the clips, but I don't listen to the full episodes. But I watched actually Bowen's episode with her because I'm just such a fan of Bowen. And I figured coming off the tails of this weekend, it would be a great episode. And it was such a great episode. The two of them just, you could tell that they both had such an admiration for each other. And knowing that like Bowen reached out to her and DM'd her and was like, hey, you can come out, like we'd love to have you on, but like this, it might get cut, like you might not end up making it on SNL. And she still was like, I don't care, I'm coming, let's do it. Like, they were so down. We also learned that Harry Daniels is the one who put them into contact originally, which just like, I feel like Harry Daniels is always at the scene of the crime, not in a bad way by any means, but I just feel like he is always at the scene of whatever crime is happening. And again, just internet culture and like being chronically online and seeing all these people and like the way the internet webs, literally the worldwide webs people together, like it's so funny. And again, seeing Trisha on SNL it's incredible, and I just loved it. It was such a fun cameo, and it just made sense. Like, in the trajectory of her life, this was something that needed to happen, and I'm so glad that we are alive to witness it happening. And then shifting gears over to my mess for the week. Why the fuck was John M. Chu completely snubbed at the Golden Globes? He was not nominated as director in any category, and I just think that is so incorrect. And of course, I'm biased. I loved Wicked so much. It is my favorite movie of the year. Like, I think it deserves every single award, or at least every nomination. I am content with Wicked not winning every award it's nominated for, because obviously, like I said, 2024 hasn't been stacked, but I think Wicked needs to be nominated in every category possible, and especially for John M. Chu to not get a Golden Globe nomination for Wicked just feels fucking insane. And of course, I'm sure he'll get nominated elsewhere, and I'm like, the movie is going to get his flowers and is getting the critical acclaim that it deserves. It's just like one of the first rounds of nominations coming out and him not getting nominated as Best Director. I took it a little personal, and maybe that's a me thing, but you know what? I can't change who I am. It is who I am to my core. And I just think he was incredibly snubbed at the Golden Globes. But you know, like I said, the Golden Globes are fucking stacked this year, so you take what you can get. You know what I mean? That being said, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're like what you're seeing, make sure you hit subscribe, give us a like, drop a comment down below. If you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star rating, follow the show. It really helps. I feel like every podcaster says it. It's like beating a dead horse, but leaving a 5-star rating or leaving a rating, a comment, whatever it is, like, it really is the best way to support the show. And it's free. Like, it is literally costs $0 to follow the show, leave us a rating, leave me a comment. It is free, so I'll leave you with that. If you would like to follow me on any of my socials, I am at 2pop2handle or at Andrew Nucatola on all socials. And like I say every week, if everybody listening to this podcast sends it to one friend, I will double in listeners. It is simple math. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye!